yeah, y'all know what it is. Eagles rap boxing. Let's go. Friday rap, baby. Oh yeah. Uh oh. Let me see. Oh man. Okay, yeah, we doing better. I don't know what happened. It's just like the sound is just not as good as it used to be. I don't know. It's being weird. Everything's weird. Weird place. Weird world. So, yeah. It figures everything around here would be weird. So, it's real weird, yeah. Anyway, welcome to Equals Web Boxing Friday. Is the rap day before I gotta get out of here so I don't get stuck too deep in the traffic. Yeah. That's what it is though. Get this yarn out my system. Yeah, but the whole landscape boxing, I don't know, boxing is just changing. It's actually changing more than what people are trying to let on to be. We already knew, like, first of all, like, there's too many boxing channels. We already knew that. We knew that from, out the gate. We knew it was with social media. We knew that it was becoming a little bit too much as far as the information on boxing. It's like every time, it's just information on boxing. Like the right information is there somewhere. You have to dig and find it. But all the BS information that you don't need is just right there. It's just like anytime somebody gets touched or something. And this whole, like I said, this whole Ryan Garcia Haney thing is it's just dividing up boxing. A lot of people are gonna hate Haney because they didn't like his style or whatever. They were never convinced by him, whatever. But he became champion. So you should have. I don't know what happened. He got lucky. Loma beat him, and all these people beat him or whatever. So he's just a lucky guy, and then he gets defeated by somebody who comes in over. It's just that's too much. Somebody who he still agrees to fight somebody who comes in overweight. And then gets popped for PEDs, just trace amounts or whatever. See, but this is how stupid people are. Is that if you're going to debate or if you're going to talk about anything, you have to stop and question step by step. If you want to be an investigator, you got to stop and you got to answer questions step by step. So you think that Ryan didn't cheat or whatever, and some kind of supplement got this stuff in this system. Well, what supplement was it? Let's clear that up. Okay, you can't find it. So what is it? It's something. You test everything that he took, and now you say he didn't have as much in him. Well, why don't you have as much in you? But you have some in you. It doesn't. Does it take a complete genius to figure it out? Just like when I was with the government, you couldn't smoke. You couldn't smoke weed, and a lot of people would get fired or popped, discharged, or whatever else for smoking weed. No matter how much you had in your system. There was ways around some drugs because there's certain things you can consume and come up with a false positive. But what I'm telling you, like for instance with the weed, they can find it in your hair follicles and everything else. But if you have a low amount in you, like if they just said, well, you got enough weed in you that you might have got that just from walking by somebody who's smoking weed, what's the chances of that really happening? Because first somebody smoking weed, you be like, oh, let me get away from them. But what's the chances of something like that happening? There's not really a good chance of something like that happening. And I'm gonna tell you something. So you got to investigate. So part of your investigation is to say that, why is there such a low amount? You know, that's what you got to figure out. Why is there such a low amount? In a lot of cases, what happens is there's ways to try to flush anything out of your system. Right? So my suggestion is to just think about that. Can you, of how much of X can be flushed out of your system by time equals Y? See? How much of X can be flushed out of your system? You take a certain substance, which is X, and you have to take something else to get that X out of your system. Because in this case, the X is the product is going to be P, positive. So it's going to be pi. So X, which is certain type of anything, plus, you could do a plus or you could do a multiplication times. So X times or X plus a certain substance, we call it S. So X plus S or times S is equal to our P. P, meaning positive, is equal to P. So it could be P, it could actually be P squared or something like that, or P minus, or you could take it as X plus or times S is equal to P minus certain amount. You know, minus A. The positive amount plus or minus A. And once you formulate that, what you have done, you find out the possibilities of other stuff. Now, you could test for other stuff. You could test for stuff that's not necessarily banned, but you could test for stuff that will kind of minimize banned substances. See, a lot of people, you don't think the whole process through. What you do is you get too excited because people are reporting stuff. And see, people report stuff on social media. And so what do? You run right with it. Oh shit, they said such and such and such and such, and you run with it. You shouldn't have ran with it. What you should have done is you should have always got to stop. I'm pretty bad at this myself. That I get information and I don't stop and think. When the elders always taught you to stop, well, not everybody's elders, but responsible elders that have at least man's wisdoms will always tell you to stop and think. And people never stop and think. People just right away, hit the conclusion, this is what happened. And that's why I'm always emphasizing in here, just think of the possibilities. Think of the possibilities of Saudi Arabia just taking over the boxing, because it's like they love boxing, they love the culture, but Americans don't. They can see what you're doing with it. They can see that it's turning into nothing but fanboy and fangirl base. So maybe they will take over it. And I talked about this years and years ago, but now we see it coming to fruition. I don't think nobody else really talked about it. But whatever happens, happens. So everybody is partially to blame. If you're partially not to blame, then you're partially to blame. So we just take it like that. And like I said, with this situation with Ryan and Haney, it's just getting worse and worse, man. It's getting worse and worse for boxing. I mean, you would look at it like that. Everybody thought it was going to just be something to just brush it underneath the fence. Oh, there you go, just sweep it underneath the fence, and that's it. But if it's truthful that Haney wants to go to court, he wants to sue, that means he's really mad because he already got he got his record straightened back out. But you still got to remember, this is prize fighting. And what I'm hoping, which it doesn't really matter, but I still hope that it doesn't go. I hope it just stays in like a civil. I hope it stays civil. I hope it doesn't turn like criminal. I hope it doesn't. But you got to leave that option open, that possibility. If it turns criminal, then Ryan is not sitting at home with a bracelet on his ankle. He's going to jail or prison. And he can see how tough he is once he gets there. I'm not asking that for him. I mean, the kid to me is just he's just a confused boy to me. Doesn't act like a man sometimes. A lot of them don't. And that's why this whole dynamic in boxing is changing. Everything's changing. You got too much new media, social media just popping up. You got too many new fans that don't know anything about boxing. You see a lot of these fans that get interviewed in some of these podcasts or whatever. They really don't know nothing about boxing. Well, I'm just going with this guy because he's cute. I'm going with this guy because he's popular. I'm going with this guy because of this and blah, blah, blah. It's like, are you serious? This is why you're going with somebody? It's just sad. Really, really sad. It's really sad if you look at it. It's like these fanboys and fangirls, they don't understand boxing. And a lot of people just even watching boxing, they don't understand boxing. I try to cover some things where we can go over certain points to see what they're doing. What's your back foot look like? What's your front foot? And I always cover this over and over and over again. So when you're watching a fight, you're not just watching aggression. A lot of people that watch boxing, all they look at is aggression. And then when something happens, like there's a quick knockout, they didn't see it coming. Even though the person that knocked the other guy out wasn't the aggressor, when that happens, they're like, oh, wow, what happened? How did he get knocked out oh, that was smooth. Because you wasn't watching. You wasn't watching that the distance was getting close. In other words, when I say distance, a lot of times boxers are jabbing, and they're barely touching the guy. It's not really hitting them. It's just barely touching. And then later on, he sees that the guy, he figures out that the guy is just out of reach just a little bit because he's taking a step. So now, there's different ways to adjust it, and how you get closer. You can take like little teeny steps, a half step or something like that. You can just take steps, and you can change your body position a little bit and make yourself look like you're in the same position, which is probably one of the best ways, is to make yourself look like you're in a certain position, but you're not actually in that position. So I make myself look like I'm further back than what I am, just because of the way I bend my body, or I'm kind of leaning just a little bit. But I'm actually close enough to touch you. But I don't want you to know that I'm close enough to touch you. Or you could take steps, or just certain side-to-side movement, make sure you're getting off center, just certain little things. Or like they say, a lot of analysts would say, jab your way in. But people aren't watching that. When you're watching boxing, you're just watching who's aggressive, who's knocking who down. And people act like, now Haney did lose, but when I watched the fight a few times, I mean, knockdowns won the fight, really. If there was no knockdowns, Haney probably would have won the fight. And people are just forgetting that. Disrespect for Ryan's power. Not worried about the hook because you're just worried about you just know that your power is good because maybe your last performance because you put hands on Regis a little bit, but you came in heavy for Regis. I know it's a lot of little things you got to figure out. I heard that you came in 5 pounds over what the contract stated you can come in. Speaking of Devin Haney, not sure if it's true or not. But if that's the case, you've been coming in big because you've been calling everybody in the middle of the ring. You tell them, "Oh, you too small, you too small." But now you came in too small. The roles was reversed. Now you came in too small. So go figure on that. And that you guys are, when you say stuff like that, you're building my case that you guys cannot. There's no way that you could fit the shoes of the fighters in the past. You can't. Simply because you said something like that. Simply because you said that somebody's too small. And you couldn't have fought back in the older era. You couldn't have fought back there coming in overweight because you might have another fight that same week. Then you would lose money, get booed, fined, or something else might happen to you because you came in like way overweight. Whereas you got to fight a couple of times in 1 week. Shit, you got to be the same size. You can go home and eat or whatever. But that fight itself, now you might come into the fight 5 pounds over or whatever, but during the fight, you're going to lose that 5 pounds. So you'll still be able to fight during that week because there's no more training. If you're fighting twice in a week, you're not going back to training. All you're doing is weighing yourself every day to make sure that you're going to make weight. That's all you're doing. You're eating a little bit and weighing yourself. That's it. That's all you're doing. But now these guys come in, they weigh so much, and but they want to compare themselves with past fighters. Get out of here. Them past fighters would have beat you even if you came in big. No matter. This just doesn't. It's just this whole direction of boxing. I just don't. It's not something that I like. Because even these people with channels and stuff, you're not. A lot of them, you have to go to somebody who's a professional fighter or something like that, or somebody who's actually been around boxing a long time, in order to get what's going on in boxing, the sport of boxing, the athletic side of boxing. Not because of this is not because of what somebody said in the past, not because of fans and race baiters and all this stuff. That's something. You guys want, if that's what you want to do, you can do that. I'm not into it for that. I don't care. Of course I understand it. I understand it. So it's like, yeah, those people are out there. Of course they're out there, and of course they're gonna say all kinds of foul stuff, and of course they're gonna just root for their fighters. Of course, that's been bred into the boxing community. Because see what's happening is they're still living off the past when it comes to boxing. They're living off the cultural past of boxing. Was a prestigious king and queen type of sport that you showed your prowess at a certain level when it comes to pugilism. You showed at a certain level that was appreciated, that you was a man of war and stuff like that. And so everybody wanted their countries to be uplifted to a certain level. So you're still living off of that. For some countries are still living off of that. And they're still hoping and praying that somebody from that country can be uplifted in the boxing world. But a lot of times it's hard. And some of them that are uplifted, they can't do any wrong when it comes to boxing. Even though a lot of boxing doesn't even follow the standard of boxing. Doesn't follow the standard. And you guys know what the standard is because we talk about it all the time. Is because a lot of these matches we watch, they're not evenly matched. You see somebody get obliterated in the first round, that fight probably should have never happened unless one of them just happened to have been a champ and that's all we had left, and then somebody was going for unified or undisputed. Then of course sometimes you might get that, but usually not when they're top notch. Um, I don't know what this means. I don't know what they say styles make fights. I still don't know what the hell they mean by that. I don't know. Shit, I have to go back and watch some great fights like Muhammad Ali versus Frazier. That's two different styles. It's a good fight. I mean, I think that what they're meaning is styles make or break a fight as far as what the content of the fight, what you're going to get out of the fight. Two similar styles, you got two guys that back up, then you're not really going to get that much of a competitive or good looking fight. For people who's really boxing aficionados, they might like it. Like, okay, we're going to see who lands and you know, who makes that initiative. But for some people, oh, you just boring, you ran. Boxing and combat sports, a lot of people have a lot to say. Other sports, you don't have as much to say because the stats are there. Boxing, the stats are there, but they're not there like during the whole fight for people to draw upon, because you could miss something. Like, I didn't see that little hook in there. You could miss some certain stuff, punches and stuff, and then they'll say that at the end. But something like basketball, football, you're seeing what's going on. They telling you right away how many yards the running back has got, how many yards the quarterback got, how many sacks the defense got in each individual. They're telling you as you go along. And with basketball, they're telling you, this fight, he got this many fouls, he got this many points, this many rebounds, this many assists, all the way until the end of the match, until the end of the game. But in boxing, they do that, but it's hard for you to sit there and count because sometimes punches are too fast. You just didn't catch it. You don't know the effectiveness of it. So that's why it's good that if you're watching, most people watch boxing as a fan. But I urge you, at least if there's a fight that you're not that interested in, watch that fight as an analyst, as a judge. Watch that fight as a judge. When it comes to your favorite fight, maybe not, because it takes away from your excitement if you watch it as a judge. But maybe later on, go back and you can watch it as a judge. You see. So that's what I can say about that. But anyway, I was hoping somebody would chime in, that you guys would come in and chime in and have the discussion. But you guys got busier than me, and I'm the one that has to go to work. You guys are already at work, but I'm the one that has to go. So let me get up out of here. But anyway, my shout out to all the real people that I see, and my shout out to all y'all didn't mess with me. Eagles Web Boxing. It's been Friday Wrap. Check it out. Leave me a comment and subscribe if you like anything I talked about today. I'm gonna catch y'all.